Hi, I'm Cesar Salcido, and I'm working under Dr. Margola's lab for the CIMI program for the summer. Over 37 million Americans struggle with bone defects, either that being arthritis, bone cancer, or some sort of bone trauma. Our lab specializes more specifically on long bone defects. Our question is, how do we fix those defects since there is no specific treatment for them? Or how do we grow it so that it's able to fix itself?
Hi, I'm Pilo Camacho. I'm an undergrad here at the University of Arizona. And to give some context on what Cesar said, is after a bone segmental defect, which can happen due to cancer or trauma, a lot of the time that segment is going to fill with painful scar tissue, which one can't support the load and will oftentimes even lead to amputation. So to combat this, we're doing a treatment here at my lab where we print 3D printed scaffolds, seed them with adipose-derived stem cells, and allow the bone to regenerate itself. Now that you know the context, let's go take a look at our lab.
Bone regeneration using scaffolding and stem cells is an emerging field in regenerative medicine that aims to restore damaged or lost tissue. This approach combines both the use of biocompatible scaffoldings, which serves as a framework or template, and stem cells, which have the ability to differentiate into bone-forming cells. The process begins by fabricating the scaffolding. Stem cells are seeded into scaffolding and implanted to a specimen. The specimen is allowed to heal for months. The bone is then extracted out of the specimen. The bone is then cut into one-cell sheets of bone. It's then prepared for histology analysis. A chemical is injected into the bone that highlights the bone growth. It's then my job to measure that growth and measure the area and perimeter of all growth in the bone.
So in my lab, we use scaffolds for a variety of reasons. Everything from implanting them into animal models to doing histology tests on them to measure the bone growth rate. So they're essential in my lab. And my project was to make the filament that we need to make these unique scaffolds. Now, this is hard to do because we use a blend of different plastics that we have to create ourselves. These blends include a variety of ratios of PLA, polylactic acid, and TCP, tricalcium phosphate. This sounds simple, but it actually involved a lot of research. We had to look at what previous people had done, scour the papers, and then implement it into our own project. We then take these filaments and analyze its properties using electron microscopy. After we find the qualities that we want from it, we are then ready to use that filament for 3D printing. And we're ready.
I hope you guys like the tour of the lab. So CIMI has been a new experience, and it has brought to me, I learned a lot of new things through this program. At the beginning of the summer, I wasn't sure if medicine is what I wanted to do. Now that I actually experienced it, a real-world clinical scenario, I'm sure that this is what I want to do. Compared to my question at the beginning of the summer, which was, do I really want to go into the medical field? Compared to now, that is, what type of research do I want to do? And my answer to that question would be, I want to focus more on cardiology.
So I was in CIMI in 2019 when I was in high school, and I feel like doing that program back then is one of the reasons that I fell in love with research. Now, I got to do CIMI again in 2023, and after having done 3 years of university now, I feel like I understand research at a greater extent now through everything from the basic science to more about the research process and clinical integration. So some lingering questions I have are, for my specific project, how does the ratio of those materials, PLA and TCP, affect the optimal bone growth within the scaffold? And another more lingering question is, how does doing it in vitro compare to doing it in vivo? And why does that matter? Thank you.